Here I'm demonstrating how I have successfully imported the NorthWind database into SQL Server. I am using SQL Server Developer on a Windows 11 machine. Just to see what version I'm running, I can go to Programs and see what features are currently installed on my apps. See what versions of apps I mean here. Go down to Microsoft SQL Server. Here they are. This was there before I started. SQL Server 2019, 2019 setup, 2019 language service. And I also installed SQL Server Management Studio. I could have done this without using Studio, but I have not learned how to do that yet. I've learned to use the task on the database in SQL Server Management Studio. So let's just start from scratch here. Let's just see how we would try this. So suppose I don't have it imported yet. First thing I want to do is create a database to do the importing into. So I will right click on database and create one. And I'll call it NW converted. Okay. So I add that database. No, I don't add the database. I click OK, creating the database. Don't need to add anything more to it. There's my NW converted. Now, if the world were right, if Microsoft were keeping their act together here, I should be able to right-click Tasks, Import Data. And I should be able to import from an Access database. Well, my Access database, or my database sources are listed up here. And the only source listed is Microsoft Access Jet Database. Well, that sounds like it ought to work. Let's try it. Oh, that lets me browse to a file. When I browse, look at that. It only recognizes .mdb files. It will refuse to, well, it doesn't even give you the choice. Let's just try to give it a choice. Let's try all files. Let's see if it will let me import from the NorthWind database. Select, open, and let's see. Well, let me select it. Let's see what happens. Oh, unrecognized database format. It does not know how to import from ACCDB files. Okay, well, all right. Well, I guess I have to create the NorthWind database and save it as old version. Oh, let's try that. Okay, so cancel this. Let's start up Access. And rather than, well, how I did to create it, I basically created it from the NorthWind template. So I used the NorthWind template, created the database, populated it, and I'll call it NorthWind 1. Creates the database rather quickly, populates it, enable contents. I don't need to log in. I just have the database. Well, since this is the ACCDB format, maybe I could just do a file save as. Makes sense, right? Save it as the old style Access 2002-2003, and then I go save as, and we'll say sorry, it won't let me save the database in this format because there's many things that are not supported in that old version. Well, you think I would give up then. No, little searching, I realize although I have this NorthWind database, I can create a new database, and I'm just going to call it a blank database and give it the name NorthWind old version. No, I'll call it NorthWind MDB. Now, it is not an MDB yet. It's a normal Access 2007 version, but I can do a file now and do a save as. Since it has no data in it yet, I can now save it as an old version, and it's happy to save it as an old version, NorthWind MDB. Now it's a .mdb, but it's an empty database. What do I do now? Well, in Access, remember, maybe you don't remember, I can go to External Data, new data source from a database, an access database, browse. Oh, it lets me access a database, and there's my NorthWind 1 that I just created, and I can open it. Oh, look at that. It will let me import, although it won't let me export. It's kind of strange. I can import. It does give me a warning though, but it doesn't fail my import. Okay, it gives me a warning that it's not going to bring in unsupported things. Okay, well, that's fine. I want to bring out as much as I can. So I'm going to go do a select all on tables, select all on queries, select all on forms, select all on reports, and macros and modules. Whatever it might be available, give me it. And I click OK. So I can always go back and see, yes, I've selected everything. Now I do the import, and it's going to complain about a few things. Don't know what it means. I'll just go ahead and go through that, and there we go. I have a bunch of tables, a bunch of database, a bunch of queries, a bunch of forms. So I don't know what broke. Maybe there's a report here saying import errors somewhere in my table. Let's see, do I see import errors table? Order status. No, I don't see an import errors. So I don't know what did not get imported. It just told me, hey, it might not be able to. So now I have a .mdb file with that data. All right. Now let's try that import again. Tasks, import data. Next, data source again is access jet engine. Browse to the MDB file that I just created, NorthWind MDB. And next. And here I thought, well, I could just click next. No, you have to tell it your destination is SQL Server. Now, I've only done this. I haven't tried these others. Maybe they would work as well. But SQL Server, the server I'm on, there's the server name. Makes a lot of sense. I click next, and I don't want to write the query. I want to copy the data, and next, and select everything. And if I look through that list, it looks like it's selecting, are there queries? I think those are queries, tables, and queries. Looks like it's importing all tables and queries. I could go through edit mappings, but I'm not going to give it a try. I'm just going to see what happens. Next, and next, and finish. So it's importing multiple processes. It actually takes longer to import into SQL than it actually did to create it in Access. Probably doing a lot of translation, a lot of updating, maybe attempting and generating. Maybe there's errors generating somewhere, but it's bringing all those things in, giving me links to messages, and just in case I want to see those messages, I'm hoping that my report will be saved here. So I'm going to save that as NW import MDB, just in case there might be something interesting later if I find want to discover what actually got imported. And then I close. And now I see in my converted database lots and lots of tables imported through the tools. And let's see, do I have a separate place for queries? Storage? No. Somewhere I would think maybe there's queries stored somewhere, because it looked like, well, I didn't watch all that information. But at least I know I have tables. Maybe somewhere those queries went somewhere. But there you have it, importing from the NorthWind. Completely from scratch, the NorthWind database creation, converting it into an MDB by creating an MDB, importing it. You cannot export from NorthWind to an old style, but you can start a blank old style, import the new one into it. And there we have, imported then through the jet engine into SQL. The end.